Inside Lufthansa, a new series on the channel exploring an airline's current situation and state, from their most popular routes to the future fleet, recent news and much more. Subscribe for more and let me know which airline you'd like to see next in the comments. To begin with, let's give a general outline to Lufthansa. The ever-popular carrier calls Lufthansa Group home and is the primary airline of such group. It is the flag carrier of Germany, and as such is responsible for donning the flag and being there for its country and people. The airline operates at the time of recording a fleet of 253 in-service aircraft, averaging 12 years combined. Aircraft types range from smaller A320s to the larger 747 and A380. Given the number of series they fly, they're an airline with a more expansive fleet. With their primary base out of Frankfurt, they do also have a significant presence across multiple German cities. Think of Qantas as being a perfect example to a similar kind of operation. Additionally, while not to be explicitly covered in this conversation today, the airline has various other components of the business that are just as equally important, such as its city line operations and cargo network. What about that route network? Well, it's quite full on, and if I covered every one of their routes, I'd probably keep you here for the next hour. So let's focus on some of their more prominent ones, the routes that were staples with high frequencies, and maybe it'll be a combination you least expect. Lufthansa's top 3 routes based on flights available and completed for April 2023 were all domestic and all in Germany. Berlin to Frankfurt, Munich to Frankfurt, and Frankfurt to Hamburg rounded out the top 3. These routes also saw an increase of around 20% over April 2022's figures, with each route coming in at over 600 available flights for the month, with 3 to 4 aircraft types being utilised. Regarding their international network, well, European destinations will always be the most pivotal in terms of flights available and operated. This is because the airline will operate multiple daily services with aircraft such as the A319, A320 or A321 that are all capable of flying, say, 3 times a day or 4 times a day on short flights over an A350 that may be deployed on a 12-hour service. Frankfurt to London comes in at their 4th most frequent with 633 flights, a 16% jump from 1 year prior. What about outside of Europe though? Well, we must venture a fair way down to see the first result from outside of Europe, and it's Lufthansa's Tel Aviv to Frankfurt service with 148 flights, which is the first combination. Next is their Istanbul service in Turkey with 128 flights. Egypt follows with 112. While exploring some of Lufthansa's busier routes is always fantastic, what about the routes that significantly declined in the past 12 months? Well, the biggest drop-off was that of Frankfurt to Yerevan, with a 97% drop. Roads to Munich also saw a 96% fall-off, followed by other notable combinations such as Ibiza to Munich and Ibiza to Frankfurt, with drops of both of these equaling out at 80%. Interestingly, the most significant drop in North America was Lufthansa's Vancouver service, which saw a 37.5% fall to 25 flights from 40 1 year prior. What about the future of Lufthansa? Well, very shortly, I'll be taking a look at their outlook regarding some of the newer commitments placed in recent months. But before those very recent commitments, the airline already had existing contracts for aircraft, and per Cirium fleet data, its now largest commitment for aircraft still on order books, including options, is the 787-9. The A320neo follows that, with 35 orders remaining. It's the 777-9 that's next on the list, where the airline has 20 firm orders and options for a further 14, with delivery expected to come sometime in 2025 at the earliest. The remaining aircraft types are all for Airbus, with some more Dash 900s, part of the A350 family. On the smaller side, we have the A321neos and the newly announced A350-1000. All these aircraft in the future will play a very much integral role in the operations at Lufthansa as they move towards more efficient flying. Only a week ago, taking a look at some of the more recent news, Lufthansa closed a deal with ITA Airways that'll see them acquire a minority stake in the company. And a decision came after a lot of deliberation. In fact, it's probably one of the worst kept secrets within the industry, but one of the biggest for Lufthansa in recent times, as they look to strengthen their presence in Italy, which is a region many analysts have openly come out and expressed Lufthansa's failure to really cement themselves in. They'll therefore use their capabilities to their advantage to look to transform ITA Airways and make this investment a positive one. While the minority stake is only at 41% for now, Lufthansa has keenly outlined on multiple occasions their intent only to increase that with time. The airline actually aims to eventually fully take over ITA Airways, but will test the waters first with this initial stake. That is why this investment is probably being talked about a lot more than, say, if Lufthansa invested maybe 20% or 10% in an airline somewhere else. Lufthansa really has eyes for ITA Airways and integrating it into the Lufthansa Group in the future. While this decision has had its critics, Lufthansa and ITA firmly believe it's a partnership that will work and is the group's latest investment. US $358 million will be put into ITA, and Lufthansa will have more control over critical business decisions such as the CEO and base. In the same week as the ITA Airways announcement, Lufthansa also said they'd add to their aircraft portfolio with 4 additional A350-900s that previously flew with LATAM being purchased through an aircraft lessor. Deliveries are slated to be completed this year and will boost the immediate company's long-haul offering and meet the added demand that they require in terms of capacity. Lufthansa has certainly struggled mainly off the back of the pandemic with aircraft delivery delays that have meant they've been forced to return planes from retirement and operate inefficient jets. This is all in the meantime as they await some of the newer planes that I mentioned towards the midway point of this video. A decision to acquire more A350s to address the immediate capacity constraints and rising demand also follows a March 2022 decision to order new aircraft. Lufthansa Group confirmed it had secured a new contract with Airbus and Boeing for additional wide-body planes. The deal included the A350-1000, 7879 and A350-900. These jets will be delivered to airlines within the Lufthansa Group from the midway point of this decade, including the German flag carrier, which will notably from this most recent order operate the A350-1000 for routes that need that additional capacity. However, the decision to order new aircraft will mean that Lufthansa can plot the retirement plans formally for more of their aging wide-body aircraft, which they're already in the planning stages of now. Notably, the airline has said it'll be able to remove multiple subfleets thanks to this new order. The retirement plans will take place in the medium term, and across the group, it'll be quite substantial. But just taking a look at Lufthansa, it means they can remove the 747-400s, A340-600s, and the A340-300s from their network sooner rather than later. What about in the short term? Well, the summer months ahead are going to be incredibly busy for Lufthansa as they announce new routes, welcome in new aircraft, and look to really capitalize on the demand that they are seeing. For 2022, they recorded a net profit of 791 million euros. This was ahead massively of what they expected when in 2022, they reported losses valued at over 1 billion. They were pleased with the performance and really wanted to put the pandemic behind them. And while supply chain issues definitely hurt the airline, they're looking at this year being a big one in terms of cabin products and many more, and we've seen that through the investment of new products that will debut on aircraft in the coming years. So, what are your thoughts on Lufthansa? Whether it be a new route you want them to see start up, maybe it's a new aircraft you're excited for, or something else in between. Let me know down below, and I hope you enjoyed this new style of video, taking a look more analytically at some of their routes and much more. And because Lufthansa is so huge, there were parts I ultimately left out. But if you'd like to see a second part, do let me know as well, and I'd be more than happy to cover some of their regional and freight operations. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.
And we'll fly.